guys, it's Sam, and today I'm going to talk about some of my favorite comfort media, as I refer to it. This video was voted on by my Patreon supporters, so as you may or may not know, my Patreon supporters get to vote in numerous polls every month, some for books that I am going to read and review, some for video topics, things like that, and this was this month's video topic pick. So if you are interested in contributing to my content in this kind of way and being more involved in my channel, I will link my Patreon on the screen. So as I've mentioned a little bit on social media and things, and also I think in videos a little bit, I am currently going through a panic disorder flare-up, as I refer to it. So I have generalized anxiety disorder, which is like a daily thing that I deal with anxiety-wise, but I also have panic disorder, which is the panic attack portion of anxiety that not everyone has that has anxiety, and my panic attacks have been flaring up a lot lately. So because of that, I've had to do some things to kind of take care of myself a little bit more. Part of that is to not read or ingest any kind of media that is at all like super stimulating to potential anxiety. So I have to get rid of anything like fantastical, supernatural, thrilling, anything that my brain could kind of deem scary. Because I've had this condition for so long, my brain almost like when I'm in a panic flare up will revert to like little kid brain me almost. And a lot of things that would never bother me when I'm not in a flare up, but like have the potential to spark my panic attacks and things. So do not worry, I am taking care of myself. I have a therapist, I have medication that is super, super helpful. I've talked about before, medication works very well for me. I also have a lot of other coping skills, exercise, meditation. I've been using the Calm app a lot, not sponsored. I use it and I really love it. And a lot of those other things, and just like processing my own feelings about my anxiety and my panic disorder and things like that. And this time around, I'm really conceptualizing it for what it is, which is a chronic physical condition. Mental health is still a physical part of your body. Your brain is part of your body. So viewing it like that and treating it like I would anything else, like if you have a cold or you have arthritis or fibromyalgia or a heart condition or whatever the case may be, you take care of yourself when that condition is flaring or when you're having that and going through that until you get to a spot where you are more at your baseline. So that is what I do with comfort media, and that's what I'm going to talk about comfort media. My Patreon supporters knew that I was going through this panic flare-up, and so when this was one of the topics, they overwhelmingly voted for it, which I was a little surprised by, but not, because they're sweet beans. I also know a lot of you go through anxiety and panic and depression and things like that, so if these things are inspiring to you to take care of yourself and enjoy some comfort media, or just maybe find some new to you comfort media, then I think that is a good thing. So I'm going to work through all the types of media that I tend to enjoy, but the first thing is movies, and I actually don't watch a lot of movies when I'm not needing the comfort of a movie. I am not a big movie person. I'm one of those people that's like, oh, I would rather watch a TV show even though I'm going to watch 5 hours of a TV show when 2 hours of a movie is way less time. But in my head, I'm like, I can't sit down and watch a movie right now. So I don't tend to do that, but I rewatch a lot of movies when I want some kind of like comforting media. So that is why I tend to turn to movies, and also they're like, you know, more condensed version, things like that. So it's less of a commitment when I need just like a dose of feel good, you know? And the types of movies I tend to turn to overwhelmingly are period dramas. So historical movies, period dramas, historical fiction, or something based on a like classic novel, for example, is what I tend to turn to. My most recent discovery is the BBC miniseries of North and South. Top notch. I actually watched this before my panic was getting really bad. It was still just generalized anxiety right before like BookNet Fest and stuff, but it's a 4-part miniseries. It's beautiful and angsty. It's everything. I do love a good angsty romance set in a different time period, so it's just like the stresses of today are not a factor. The stress is still a thing, but it feels separate from me, so that I don't need to be stressed about it, you know? So I tend to like that with like my visual media. Just I don't want to deal with right now. I want to deal with the past a little bit. So I tend to like the more like romances and things like that, and also because you know inevitably how they're going to end up. I mean, these kinds of stories are always like, in the end, they're gonna get together, like pretty much, almost guaranteed. There's a few exceptions, but generally speaking. So this is a nice angsty slow burn romance, and I love it. And there's a lot of pining. It's about the pining. Another great example of this is Pride and Prejudice, the 2005 version, which is the superior version in my opinion. Don't come for me if you love the BBC version. I've seen both. I don't like the BBC version that much. I will never watch it again. Colin Firth is still very great. Sorry, just my opinion. So I think what I love about the 2005 version is, one, it's compact, you know, I only need to watch like a movie. I've seen it so many times. When I first bought the DVD, I watched it on repeat like a few times. That's how much I love it. I also just love how calming, the music is very calming, the aesthetic is very calming. There's a lot of like single shots, like single pans, so they're not cutting around a lot, because I find sometimes with my anxiety and panic that like the overstimulation of like flashing and stuff will kind of like rile me up. So there's not a lot of that. It's slower, it's soothing, feels just very, it's just rooted in calm and peace. And I also know the story so well that I know literally every single beat to it, so it feels comforting. There's no surprises. I know exactly what's going to happen. Everything I'm watching is pretty, it's calm, I'm calm, I feel good. I also really like rom-coms that I watched when I was younger. So for example, I had a really big panic attack on a plane recently. Love that. And thankfully I was flying Delta, so there was in-flight movie service and that you could pick your own movie. And I watched You've Got Mail, which is one of the best, if not the best, romantic comedy. I don't know, but I've rewatched some other romantic comedies lately and been like, ooh, shouldn't have said that, you know, like that kind of like cringe that you get from like, this is very of its time. And so is You've Got Mail, because obviously AOL is not a thing that anyone uses anymore. I mean, some people do, but like not really. But it still feels a little more timeless, which I really like. And it's just, again, one of those movies that I've seen so many times because it's like always on like TBS or TNT or something growing up, just rewatching it over and over. And it's very soothing. Just really Tom Hanks movies. I should embrace that as a category. Very soothing to me. You know how many Tom Hanks movies I've seen? So many. And I just know all of them, and they're just very calming. I know the cadence of his speech. It's just stuff like that. So rewatching things that I've already seen in movie form calms me. Same thing is true for TV. I haven't really dived into TV this time around. I haven't quite needed to. I might though. But I definitely rewatch shows that I've already seen that do not have any paranormal, fantastical, thrilling component to them. So there's a lot of shows that I've seen that I could rewatch, but I'm not, for example, going to turn to like Buffy or The Vampire Diaries or True Blood or Black Mirror or Stranger Things. Like, I'm not going to watch all the things that I do still deeply love. They're not comforting. They put you on the edge of your seat more than anything else. So what I'm going to more likely turn to is like, which I might actually do soon, Dawson's Creek, The OC, which I'm kind of inspired to watch because Sarah Jane is currently doing a rewatch of The OC right now. And that is just very like high school, just, you know, people in California problems that feel so foreign to me. And like, yes. And Grey's Anatomy. Now you may say, Grey's Anatomy does not bring calm, and I would sort of agree with you, but I've seen like the series that I've watched, because I'm not currently watching the show, but I watched up until like when Christina left, and so those like 8-9 seasons I've seen, especially the first like 6 or 7 seasons, I've seen probably 6 or 7 times. So even though it's a lot of the times with like all of these sad things that are happening, it's also a really good filter for sadness. So a lot of times when you're anxious or depressed or whatever, you also like need to cry because it's just like, you're tired and it sucks and whatever. So having something like Grey's Anatomy is like, I can cry at this. I know this episode, I know the sad thing, I know the song that's gonna play, I know that the old man is gonna be like giving his wife CPR when she's already dead. Like, this is what's gonna happen. So I'm kind of, even though it's like, that is not necessarily a soothing show, since I know the beats and what's going to happen, it does feel more soothing to me. But Dawson's Creek and The OC especially are like, Dawson's Creek, yes, there are dramatic things that happen, but it's just like, it's in a quiet town. It's like the late 90s, early 2000s. It's great. Video games is another thing that I will do, especially if I need more of like a distraction thing, and the game I'm always forever and ever going to turn to for this is Mass Effect. I've played Mass Effect like 4 different times. It's not, although there are like potentially things that could be scary playing Mass Effect, I'm not scared of it at all, and I'm just like, Shepard's gonna kick ass and I'm playing Shepard. So like, I feel good. It also like makes you feel like, you know, you're getting something done, you know, you're conquering things, you know, you're getting people to getting the gang together. It's good. And I do find that space is a little bit easier to deal with than fantasy when I'm in Panic Flares. So, because space is just much more like analytical science, even though there's like fantastical elements to some space stuff that I like, but it's a lot more like rooted in seeming reality, even though it's not actual reality, where fantasy is just too cerebral that when I'm like this and in like a flare up, it's just like, I can't really do that. So Mass Effect, since I know it so well, is a good one. Another thing I want to try, another game I want to try that I haven't yet, is Journey. Journey looks very soothing. It's like meditation in game style. I mean, you're playing like kind of alone, but there's like pretty scapes around, and you can play apparently like with, you can see other people potentially in the game that are also playing the game, but you're not interacting, like it's just, it seems very calm, the music is calm, it's very visually beautiful. That kind of game setting is very good. I don't know if I would necessarily do it as a new game when I am in a panic flare, but I'm not opposed to it. And lastly, as far as books is where I differ from the rest of it. I don't do rereads, really, and I might in the future, but right now I would rather just turn to new things that I haven't read that are in like a comforting genre. So adult contemporary romance is where I'm going. Am I new to this genre? Yes, but do I know that it's like predictable enough and safe enough and just like binge read and all of these like feel-good feelings? Yes. So that is why I'm turning to some of that contemporary a lot more than I ever thought that I would, because it's easy to get your hands on. There's so much of it, and you just like, you know, some of the beats and the tropes, and that feels so soothing. Also, since I do have goals for my TBR, part of me like doesn't want to reread because it's like, it doesn't feel like I'm getting something done. Not that I need to feed that like anxiety monster, but at the same time, it's like I still want to read new things. I'm not to a point where I really want to reread things. And some of the things I want to reread are in genres that I wouldn't be wanting to read right now anyway, even though I've read them before. So I'm just like, I try to just kind of starve my panic of its oxygen a lot with like just reading and ingesting very like soothing things. So the adult contemporary romance right now is probably what you're going to get a lot of in my October wrap up, which is funny because you'd think that you'd get more of like the fantasy stuff. And in past years, yes, but this year it's just like some self-care stuff. And then I know that I'll get back to all of the media that I've always enjoyed and some of those like fall reads that I've been waiting for in fantasy. Like I'm never going to be like, I'm not for reading fantasy again, because anxiety and panic are a thing that passes just like any other feeling or emotion you may have. It's good to remember this. I'm saying this as much for me as I am for you. So this month I'm reading, I believe am I reading The Kiss Quotient or The Bride's Test? I think The Kiss Quotient by Helen Wong. And I have like 3 other books that I might also read, a mix of getting them from the library, possibly buying them online. Although I am a little angry because I want to read some of these books on Kindle, but the Kindle books are as expensive or more expensive than the paperback copies? Why? I mean, I know someone's gonna like explain down below probably like, because of these certain copyright rules and blah, blah, blah. But I'm still just like, absolutely not. I'm not doing that. But if I can get some of the like $3.99 Kindle book romances, I'm definitely gonna be doing that. So I have a couple that friends have recommended me and that you guys have recommended me, so look forward to seeing some contemporary romance on my list soon. So that is it for some of my most comforting media. I will do some of these in the future too if I discover some more comforting media along the way when I'm in flare-ups, or just like, I like comforting cozy things in the winter as well, even if I'm not feeling anxious. So I will definitely do more videos like this in the future if it's something that you guys like. But comment down below, let me know some of your comfort media, or if there's anything in these categories that you feel that I might enjoy that I didn't mention, definitely let me know. And if you're also going through a tough time mentally or emotionally or physically or anything, just take care of yourself and embrace the things that you need to embrace with media and reading, and don't put pressure on yourself, and just enjoy things and take comfort in things that might make you feel better. So thank you all for watching, and I'll see all of you guys soon. Bye.